What's up, guys? I'm SaltEMike, and this is your Star Citizen Week in Review for May 26th, 2025. 4.2 is in Evocati, and it's looking like a really big patch in terms of the story. The Invictus sales are in full force, and there are a couple new ones people are certainly going to like. And don't forget, CIG are still selling the blades and don't seem to have any plans to stop selling gameplay. All that and more on today's Week in Review. And as always, if this is your first Week in Review, this is where I take all of the official Star Citizen news each week, put it into one video, and share some of my opinions about it. I also live stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/SaltEMike. Stop by and say hi if you haven't yet. I always enjoy seeing you guys over there. No sponsors this week, so if you are enjoying the show and you want to go above and beyond, hit the join button, leave a super thanks or whatever it's called down in the comments. But you don't have to do any of that. Just enjoy the show, and we have a ton to talk about, so let's get into the patch notes. All right, so just to note, the entire patch notes section is technically a spoiler warning, even though the notes are public. I'm allowed to talk about my experiences, and I will. So I'll end the chapter when I stop talking about it, which is just basically going to be the entire patch notes section. So the testing focus section is kind of funny for the Monday 4.2 Evocati. It's mostly redacted, kind of as if they didn't necessarily learn their lesson yet from the last patch, kind of pushing things out really slowly and really late right before they went live to preserve whatever story there was, and then it was so bugged that nobody participated in it, right? But the main thing is Pyro Research Facility here. It was a good doctor map from Arena Commander, so if you've played it and you know the layout, it has the exact same loop to these kind of Hathor keys, except it's at the good doctor map, with a little twist though. You have to kill at this point or knock out scientists and use them to open the door, since they check what outfit is being worn. So you hit the door button, it does a scan, and if somebody is wearing the correct outfit, the door opens. The end of this loop seems to be ending with a new suit that is a radiation defense suit. There's also storms with rain, and it's really cool. It's on Pyro 1. I've seen, and there's puddles and all sorts of lightning, and it's very, very cool. You can't fly a ship into it. Even an Idris will, go down from distortion damage. It's quite cool. On Tuesday, the 4.2 Evocati is still under NDA. They quickly fixed a situation where they wanted you to be the one who scanned the door open, as killing an NPC and tractor beaming them to the locked door to be scanned was not necessarily intentional. But you can knock out an NPC, which is essentially killing them, and do the same. So no idea their thought process there, and if they're going to get rid of the knockout as well, and they want us to wear the armor, not sure. They also did various updates to buff some of the larger ships, like the Idris and its turrets. Then on Thursday, we skipped Wednesday, there's another 4.2 Evocati NDA, and the testing focus has revealed a number of things that were not ready for feedback. So they may have learned their lesson, and they're pushing forward a little bit more quickly. They list the Rain, they list a new Volt shotgun, and Wicklow ships. So the Atlas Ikti is in there as well, and that's one we were all expecting from Wicklow himself, right? For features, they started out with adding more hairstyles, but there was nothing too crazy, just some medium length and a receding hairline one for me, probably. They added more locations for this event that they wanted to do, and again, mostly just more places that are the good doctor map type locations. They updated the bounty hunter missions, but it is hard to tell the difference. The AI kind of spawn in like they're from patrol missions, but not quite patrol missions. They did some balance to the Starlancer tech, I assume based on recent feedback, and they're updating the UI to show power plant distortion to us. It's just a little text at the top that shows the percentage of distortion damage to your power plant. So you'll always see it while flying if you're taking it. And since Hathor came out, people were doing this exploit of nav swapping to basically never run out of shields, especially in the Polaris. That should be fixed in this patch, since they're doing it on a shield face basis now, and the rest are all visual updates that I can't really show you yet, unfortunately. And then Friday 4.2, they start out with some minor changes to the event. On the gameplay side, they're improving the soft death experience. I find this a bit odd if engineering is approaching, as that should remove soft death entirely. And then bombs, torps, and missiles are now able to be shot down with distortion weapons, it seems. And I'm kind of curious about EMPs. For bugs, they might have got a big one here. Ever experienced invincible teleporting NPCs? You know, the ones that you kind of have to do a takedown on? They have a potential fix for that. Outside that, there are a lot of voice lines and things like that going on at the event locations that indicate the Apex Valakar might be a thing. So that's very cool. You go to a room, you do, you know, all the kind of key/puzzle loops. You get in there and there's an egg, and you may have a choice on what to do with the egg. And one scientist is doing things morally and another scientist is doing things immorally. And I don't know if we have a choice in which direction that we want to go. It does sound like they want to give players that choice. But I won't spoil it too much else than that. But no, I have not seen an Apex Valakar, but it's a lot of talk about it, so it might be happening. But we'll see. And yeah, more talk about this stuff in the roadmap section, so let's jump into that. All right, and for Roadmap Roundup, the first part was a complete waste to discuss here, as it's just recapping what we already have in 4.1.1 or 4.1 itself, but the 4.2 section is the one that everyone is interested in, so let's chat about that. So they start out by saying there will be new creatures. For right now, I've only seen not new creatures, but like existing creatures with new things about them. Speaking of those variants, they are very much related to the radiation stuff, and that seems to be a theme here for the update. But yeah, the Atlas doesn't take damage in radiation storms. So the next section was mainly about locations, research, data centers, which will be used to tell the storyline, which was 100% related, at least in part, to the regen crisis. And the new Atlas ICT, this one is the Atlas with guns. We've all seen it. It's been talked about plenty at the Wicklow location, but something really nice about these is that they're actually at the mission locations that you don't have to buy them. So if you want to use them during this event, you're able to, but you will likely have to buy them if you want to use them outside of these locations. And they're nothing special. They take damage. They don't have any radiation protection. So I don't know. I don't find these to be very cool unless you're like super into mechs and want to RP. There will be more Wicklow ships, which is not a good thing, believe it or not. It lowers your chances, since it's a loot crate mechanic, to get the ship that you actually are looking for, right? I would rather them increase the turn-ins and we choose our ship. Let me know what you guys think about that. And then the Volt shotgun is planned, and it gets less accurate and more AoE as more heat is involved. And then the new set of armor for radiation is called the Sterling Exploration Suit. And yeah, the last time I used it, it has less damage reduction than normal heavy armors that had 25% instead of 40, but it has radiation reduction as well. And they mentioned rain, which I'm sure people are going to love. And lastly, in a .x patch, there will be a global event outside of what we are playing now, but maybe related. And then a new mission for space combat called Defend, which is meant to defend a location, which seems similar to defending a ship, but will that location take damage? I kind of feel like it's going to be the fuel tanks at the mining locations or whatever that we're doing the patrol missions at now. And then a new utility armor. This time it's a medium one, and utility should have some extra qualities to it like the Sterling one does, but we'll see what that one is, as it is not in the game just yet. So that was our roadmap update. Actually kind of beefy in comparison to previous ones now that we're into 4.2, but let's go into video updates. And we start out with the behind the ships for the Mirai Guardian MX. So the big thing here is that the ship is very different from the actual original Guardian, and they explain a lot of those differences here.
The Guardian MX is the big brother of the Guardian. It is fully geared up to fight and is now equipped with 4 size 4 weapons instead of the 2 size 5 on the base Guardian.
Mirai's manufacturers always trying to push performance. In this case, this version of the Guardian is much more aligned with that key core goal of a heavy fighter.
It's got like bigger wings, it's got missiles, it's got more power, more armor. It's just like meaner looking.
It's for people who just wants to kill, pretty much.
Once you see the MX, you'll notice that the guns are now tucked in the wings. It sits, while landed, more angular. The wings are much more bigger than the base Guardian. The material breakup is also different. The paneling is like bigger, it's more industrial looking because it's more heavily armored. So there's 24 new missiles, 12 on each wings. And just the experience of launching those missiles at an angle, pretty cool.
The weapons are the main difference, obviously, 4 size 4s instead of 2 size 5s, but I certainly was not expecting the ship to just be like bigger and beefier. They literally just kind of made a different ship. I was not expecting that at all. And then this next part is so small, but it's actually really great at the same time.
We recognized that like the dashboard being at the top of the canopy was blocking that valuable space that the player need and want while dogfighting. So we decided to move the dashboard down to each side of the seat, freeing up the top. It gives that feeling of like operating this massive gun turret with all 4 guns sitting at the tip of the wings.
The reason the change matters so much is that you only make a change like that if you listen to players, and more importantly, higher skill players. In master modes, ships pitch much faster than they yaw, especially pitching up. So it's a massive, having a massive MFD blocking where your enemy would be placed on your screen, it's probably not a good thing. So very, great job, and thank you for listening. And then we had a behind the scenes for the Anvil Asgard. And starting out, they explain the role of the ship, and holy, are they trying to sell this thing.
The Anvil Asgard is the Valkyrie on steroids. It's here to deliver larger vehicles than the Valkyrie is capable of, but without the troop deployment side of it. This is for the person with a Nova tank that doesn't have a big enough garage.
I would say it's a beast with tons of weapons. It's ready for action combat.
I cannot imagine a ground vehicle that won't fit in the back of this ship, but I know where we work, so I think that's probably not a good idea to say.
The steroids comment is like ridiculous and currently not even true. A lot of the stats are not even like as good as the Valkyrie, so don't quite get that, but it is probably safe to assume that they mean from the weapons perspective, and they quickly explain how they think that you should use the ship.
The big exterior changes are we've now got our missile rack on top of the ship.
It also looks more aggressive because all of its weapons now face forward.
It's kind of in that weird spot where it's a military ship with an enormous cargo hold, so it kind of gets the best of both worlds.
It can get your tank on the battlefield with ease.
Providing as much fire as it wants to, you then close that ramp, lift it back off, and got the hell out.
I personally see myself using it just as a cargo ship or maybe running some bounties with it, but the forward-facing weapons are likely related to that steroids comment, right? And that's all we had for video updates. It's a ship sale week, so no gameplay discussions. We know 4.2 stuff is coming, so expect videos on that soon. But with that, let's go to other updates. All right, and as always, we start out with sneak peek. This one's pretty cool because I actually know what it is and I've actually seen it. And I'll just leave it at this. This is a Valakar egg, but not just any egg. It's kind of cool. But the only other thing I'll say is, look, there's a key card on the left. So this is something that you should be able to access, but you just don't look at it. Now, I will be clear, I have not accessed it yet. So I don't know what this has to do with anything, but you can access it. Next is Invictus sales. So obviously the Mirai Guardian MX, as we had spoke about. For this, they had the standard lore page as they always do, and then some really fantastic paints. I really, really like the black one. I love the red one for sure, but the main thing here is it's $270 Warbond and $290 for store credit. Really pricey for something that I don't think would be in any metas at all. PvE, PvP, nothing, to be honest. It's just really cool looking. The Mist Star Lancer attack is kind of old news, but there are a number of updates to it as in the PTU, as you just heard, but it is Yeah, its sale page was very much like the rest, just some silly lore and screenshots with some skins I personally wasn't a super fan of, and their price is $340 Warbond and $365 for store credit. Also a ship that doesn't seem like it fits any role better than something like the Andromeda or Corsair, so why buy it other than its looks, right? If you like its looks, go for it, but I don't see why you would use it outside of that. And then the Anvil Asgard, the sale page is your standard lore stuff with a number of okay looking paints. The ship is actually cheaper than the Valkyrie, which people are attributing to being a good thing. But in reality, this is typically used to break up what is called the CCU game, in my understanding. So again, let me know in the comments below. But please let me know in the comments if CIG decided to just be charitable all of a sudden. Because at this point, we just know that typically isn't a thing, right? And then for the Q&A for this ship, they start out with the difference between the Asgard and the Valk, and the main difference are that the cargo space that we saw in the turret and the cargo space that we saw and the turret, and the Valk just has better coverage. Your main thing, I think, will be, you know, that you'll use this for is probably bounties. So the pilot guns are plentiful, and then if you do have another person, you get 2 size 4s, and then you could, you know, loot the cargo and sell it. The third question just reiterates, you know, the offense over defense kind of thing versus the Valkyrie. This is quite funny. More people are having a horrible time trying to buy the Idris than ever, and there are so many people that are willing to buy the Idris. It's crazy. Fighting bots, limited numbers, so they've been pretty upset. I think this is the second or third time the company has opened Idris waves. It still blows my mind. They're also kind of thinking about doing things like how ticket sales goes. This community is so cooked when it comes to stuff like that. It's crazy. Guys, just earn it in game. It'll be fun. Oh my goodness. For dev posts, then we have a referral update. Another classic post from CIG, hearing us but not listening. But in this case, I think they dug their hole so deep that they can't get out of it just with the type of changes that they want to make. They're going to keep both ladders at the same time, so you will earn rewards for both, and shouldn't have kind of stopped here, but, you know, or they should have just stopped there, but they didn't. They're kicking the can down the road, and they will just remove the old ladder at some point with the same issues existing. Pretty dumb, like actually dumb. And people are, oh, we have no timeline of when we're going to do it, so that's a good thing. It just sounds like you made a bad system that you can't solve any problems with. New systems should solve problems of the old system. This just creates worse ones. It's really stupid. New event details. Now, pointing out, this is probably the 4.2.x thing, to be clear, that they are trying to appease everyone, and then players will find out, like, basically what they're trying to say here is that the events will not be entirely PvP, but, you know, it will have some PvP and some collaboration. It sounds, again, like they just want to appease everyone here, and what players will do will just find the most frictionless way of doing something and then complete the event and then just move on, right? And that's it. So hopefully that's not the case. So far, what I've seen is incredibly frictionful. So again, that's why I think this is probably the .x thing and the global event, but we'll have to see. But with that, that's all I really have this week. Outside of that, I just want to remind you again that CIG has not stopped selling the blades. They have said nothing about that while continuously communicating on Spectrum. And this is, again, setting an extremely bad precedent of just continuing to sell gameplay. I don't care what people buy. I don't care if you're buying spaceships anymore, as long as there's ways to upgrade those and exclusively in the game. And that's, you know, contested zones, crafting, Wicklow, and so on, right? When that stuff goes on the website, that's the line for me, and that appears to be the line for a lot of people. I hear people in the comments saying I'm in the minority. That is just not true. We are not in the minority on this one. The community has largely backed this idea being bad together. Every content creator I've spoken to, except for one who we don't know is being real or not about this, is behind this being bad. So yeah, hopefully CIG makes some change. It should have been this week. It should have been last week, but it hasn't happened yet. So long as the status quo stays and people slowly stop talking about this, it's all going to stay the same. But with that, guys, thank you so much for watching. leave a like, leave a comment. Again, if you want to go above and beyond and support financially, that is amazing, and I would appreciate it, but only if you feel I really deserve it and you're watching the shows all the time or whatever, right? But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys next week.